Are you digging up the dirt on your dead? Want to find out how? Hear the latest on new family history sources and websites with interesting and fun guests and experts. Find out what other people have been learning about their ancestors. From kings to thieves, inventors to farmers, nothing that's been discovered should surprise us anymore, but it always does. Find out what we mean. Great family history stories and information are on the way now with Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, and extremegenes.com.
It's been this way for generations.
Extreme Genes, Extreme Genes.
Dates in the Bible don't quite match the marriage certificate.
Extreme Genes, Extreme Genes.
Uh-oh.
And greetings, genies from sea to shining sea. Welcome to Extreme Genes, Family History Radio and extremegenes.com, America's family history show. I am Fisher, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. You know, early in the holidays, I got an email from someone who wrote, Swedes, what about the Swedes? We need to know about the Swedes. So I realized at that moment how neglectful I had been to Scandinavia, especially considering I have a goodly amount of Swedish blood and some Norwegian myself. So, Kathy, today you get Swedes. Professional Swedish researcher Kim Melchior joins us in about 10 minutes to talk about researching your Swedish lines. What records are easily found there? What about translating, getting them across the pond, and a whole lot more? And of course, much of what he'll have to say will apply to the Norwegians and the Finnish and the Danish. So get ready for that. Then later in the show, a great couple, Clarence and Carolyn Jennings of Benton, North Carolina, will join me to talk about their recent discovery of a 150-year-old letter that finally spilled the information the Jennings family has been looking for generations. Just what were the circumstances of the death of their Confederate soldier family member? When did he die? How did he die? Where was he killed? They'll talk about the thrill of the discovery and just what was on that yellowing page of paper that finally closes the door on a missing piece of their family's history. It's a great story. Okay, it is time for me to come clean. You know, I've talked about our free Extreme Genes podcast app for Android and iPhone for some time. The fact is, it isn't really free. I mean, what is? I pay for it. It is my gift to you so you can catch your favorite past episodes on your phone. Of course, if you don't download it from your phone's store at no cost to you, then my gift has been, well, for naught. So please accept the gift. I promise it won't track you in libraries, archives, or other research centers, so you're welcome. All right, it is time for another question from Ask the Root Sleuth. Talina McConaughey writes, my husband has a diary kept by his grandfather in 1912. It is a tiny book, just 2.5 by 5.5 inches with yellowed pages. In it, Grandpa Phillips recorded where he worked that day, whether hauling wood, shearing sheep, etc., how many sheep he sheared, and some financial expenditures. It also contains interesting personal information like height, weight, clothing sizes. It shows a hard-working man, which is a strong part of my husband's family culture. Many members of the family would like copies of the journal. Most of it is written in pen, some in pencil, and very faded in just a few places. Do you have advice for me about how to go about reproducing it and getting the best copy results without damaging it? Well, Talina, what an awesome piece you have. And in my opinion, there are really only two ways to do it. One is to gently press it onto a scanner and digitize it at a minimum 1200 dpi. Now, that's only if you feel the binding can handle that. If so, that's certainly the best way. By doing this, you're not going to cause further fading of the ink or pencil. One scan just won't do that. The other way to do it, if the binding is too fragile, hold the book open at each page as far as you safely can and photograph the pages. Get the best images circumstances allow and call it good. It's funny how often risk-reward comes into play with these fragile treasures. I've had to make those choices many times myself with daguerreotypes in electrolysis to old books like Talina's, even with loose papers that I just didn't dare flatten in a scanner because I thought they might crack. I hope that helps. Good luck with it, Talina, and thanks for asking the Root Sleuth. If you have a question, just fire me off an email at fisher@extremegenes.com. And be sure to visit our Extreme Genes Facebook page. Give us a like and become part of our growing community of genies. And there's a lot to learn there as well. It is time once again for your family Histoire news from the pages of extremegenes.com. Just one story this week, and it's a big one. Remember the story of Paul Fronczak from a few years back? He was the man raised in Chicago, believing he had been his parents' kidnapped baby. But a DNA test in 2012 proved he was not their biological child. Paul had been found abandoned in New Jersey and had been presumed to be the missing boy from Illinois. The parents joyously brought him into their home, and since it couldn't be proven that the baby was their child and no one else had claimed him, they adopted him, just to be sure. Well, now after nearly 3 years of DNA research, the man who doesn't know when he was born or what his real name was or what happened to the original baby, Paul Fronczak, is inching closer to at least knowing who his birth family was. Last year, an Ancestry.com DNA hit tied Paul to a New York man named Alan Fish, who the test results predicted was a second cousin. Unfortunately, Alan was also adopted and also didn't know his birth family. And it gets weirder. Alan died unexpectedly, and a woman named Amy Gourley got involved with Alan's family to help them find his birth parents. She then learned that she was related to both Paul and Alan. I mean, you can't make this up. Recently, Amy miraculously found Alan's birth father, who tests as a first cousin once removed to Paul. Amy and renowned researcher C.C. Moore are now working to identify the most recent common ancestors of Paul and Alan's father, at which point they'll do work to identify their descendants, among whom will be a birth parent of the man who, over 50 years ago, became Paul Fronczak. But the question remains, will these family members be willing to take the test that will reveal either themselves or a relative as a parent that may have abandoned a baby in New Jersey in 1964. Big news could be coming in the case in 2015. And that is our family Histoire news for this week. See the link to this story and much more now at extremegenes.com. And coming up in 3 minutes, professional Swedish researcher Kim Melchior joins us to talk about what you can find on your Swedish ancestors. So wave your Swedish flags for a few minutes, Svenskas, and we will be right back on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Genies, not long ago, something happened with one particular online research service that changed everything. It happened with a service that already has 75 million members worldwide, and it's not who you think it is. Hi, it's Fisher, and you know I'm always looking for new and better ways for you to discover your ancestors, not just the data, but the stories. The online service I'm talking about takes your family tree and then uses its powerful automated technology to match the people in your tree to over 5 billion records from around the world. Censuses, newspaper stories, vital records with 97% accuracy. This means no more wading through thousands of useless so-called hints. This also means the site itself is constantly looking for matches for you, even while you're sleeping. What site does all this? It's myheritage.com. You can try myheritage.com for free. Here's a special gift from me. Use discount code EXTREMEGENES after signing up and get an exclusive 20% discount at myheritage.com.
It will soon be here again, the largest family history event in the world. It's the 5th annual Roots Tech Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, February 12th through the 14th, 2015. Hosted by Family Search, Roots Tech is the perfect place to discover and share family connections, past, present, and future. Keynote speakers like family man and entertainer Donny Osmond and the founder of the upcoming Global Family Reunion, A.J. Jacobs, will inspire and entertain you. Explore the massive expo hall with hundreds of technology and family history exhibitors. Visit the world-renowned Salt Lake Family History Library right across the street and choose from more than 200 educational classes taught by family history professionals. Early bird pricing is just $159 for a 3-day pass. But hurry, it's only available for a limited time. Find out more now and get registered at rootstech.org. That's rootstech.org. It's Roots Tech 2015, February 12th through 14th at the Salt Palace Convention Center in Salt Lake City, Utah.
While we all love diving into the deep end of our gene pool, Don't forget about capturing the histories of those who are still with us. Go to Storyworth.com to start your family's story today. Each week, Storyworth.com will email a question to people whose stories you wish to preserve. Questions like, tell us about the day you got engaged, or what do you remember about your grandmother? All they have to do is reply with a story, either by email or by telephone. That story is then forwarded to the family and securely stored in a private online storybook. It doesn't get any simpler. You can enroll up to 6 storytellers for, get this, just $49 a year. You'll get a free 1-month trial, and for a limited time, Extreme Genes listeners get an additional 10% discount at Storyworth.com/ExtremeGenes. That's Storyworth.com/ExtremeGenes. Is your family story worth 13 cents a day? Sign up now at Storyworth.com/ExtremeGenes. Simple, secure, effective. Your story is worth telling.
Welcome back to Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, ExtremeGenes.com. It is America's Family History Show. I am Fisher. You know, I'll tell you, I'm beholden to my audience. And not long ago, I got an email from somebody who said, hey, what about the Swedes? We don't hear enough about the Swedes. So I promised after the first of the year, we would get somebody who could talk about Swedish research a little bit. We actually found a guy who's, let's see, you're part Swede, Kim, right? You're part Finnish. What else?
I'm mainly Danish, but part Swedish. But when it comes down to it, my lines are tying back to about 12, 13 different countries in Europe. So I'm Heinz 57.
You are very much so.
Even though I'm an immigrant to the U.S.
Yes, right. I mean, you're a very complicated man, and you're probably constantly at war with yourself.
That I'm not so sure about. If I'm at war with anybody, it would probably be the Swedes.
Well, we're talking to Kim Melchior. He is a professional researcher into Scandinavian research. So for my friend who's looking for Swedish information, we got the guy right here. Kim, welcome to the show. Nice to have you along.
Thank you.
First of all, how long have you been researching?
I've done genealogical research for approximately 35 years, 30 of them professionally.
And have you done a lot of that back in the countries themselves, or do you do a lot of it from here?
I've done research both in Denmark and in Sweden, and then I've been doing it here in the records. And in this day and age, with the internet access, I would say it is as easy, if not easier, to do the research here as it is over there.
Yeah, I would think so. You think about the cost of getting certain websites doesn't nearly match the cost of what it would be to travel to these places constantly, you know?
Exactly.
I should do a disclaimer here, first of all, and explain that I myself am 3/8 Swedish. My grandmother's side and half of my grandfather's side, Swedish. And so a lot of research was actually done before I even got started in all this stuff. But I've had a chance to do a little bit of it. And I find that Swedish research is very interesting. First of all, of course, you got to break through the language barrier. Let's talk about that just for a moment. As people find Swedish records, how might they go about doing some of the basic translating? What's the best way?
You know, there are several translation websites, but I'm not a big supporter of those because the translation is usually terrible.
Yeah, like Google Translate?
Exactly. One thing that I found is kind of confusing to a lot of Americans with regards to Swedish research is you are used to a set surname. The same surname goes back generation after generation after generation.
Right.
In the Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, and actually also in Iceland, they used what they call the patronymics, where a child's surname was created from the father's first name by adding either a son or daughter to the name. So, for example, the daughter of Nils would be Nilsson, or Nils' daughter, and the son of Nils would be Nilsson. So that can be confusing, and you get into an area where there are certain names that are used a lot. So you find a tremendous amount of people with the same names who are not related in any way, shape, or form.
Right. There are so many people named Lars, Larson, Nils, Nilsson. My immigrant ancestor was Hans Olsen. He was the son of Ole Arneson, and that's where the Olsen name came from.
Exactly. And then to confuse matters even further, in the late 1800s, what the Swedish government tried to do was encourage people to find a name and change from the patronymics. So they got rid of all of these Olsen, Nilsson, Jönsson, and Hanssons. And there is no rhyme or reason in how some of these names have come about.
Now, why did they do that, first of all, Kim?
I think, one, you had so many people by the same name that it could be very confusing when you talk about Nils Nilsson. Who is Nils Nilsson? There's 25 of them in a parish.
Sure. So the new names that were taken on, did they do them as has been typical in other cultures, where they took it from their occupation or from where they lived? How did they do it?
They could literally make up names. Another thing that we also find in Sweden is what they call soldier names.
Yes.
In Sweden, every parish had to supply a certain number of soldiers. And instead of sending off their sons, they may have set a little piece of land aside, and they hired a soldier to be the representative that had to go if they were called up. Very often, a name went with that, so you could have Peter Lundqvist. And he was Peter Lundqvist as long as he lived there, and his children may have taken the name Lundqvist. Then when he got old and retired, or if he died or moved on, and the new person that came in on that spot could be Nils, and he could be Nils Jönsson, but when he moved into that particular farm or house, then he became Nils Lundqvist. And then his children could also get the name Lundqvist. So now all of a sudden you have all of these Lundqvists who are not related to each other.
Wow. Well, what's the solution then, Kim? If you're a researcher into this, how do you sort them out?
Sweden, they have very good records.
Yes, they do.
They have the church records. They have what we call a clerical survey or a mantalslängd, which is basically like a household record. It was a record that was kept over a 5 or 10 year period. And at the beginning of this period, the whole household would be written up. Names, birth dates, birthplaces, and so on. Then if any kind of change that took place within that 5 or 10 year period, like a child was born, that child would just be listed with a name and then with a birth date in the family. If somebody died, they would be crossed off, but there was a column you could write in the death date. If you move from one farm to another, you would be crossed off on the farm where you moved from, and you would be written in on the farm where you moved to. And again, if the record was kept the way it was supposed to be, there would be a reference from page number this to page number that, which can make it very convenient trying to follow people around.
Except for the language barrier.
Except for the language barrier, yeah.
Right. And that's where people like you come in, thank goodness. You know, speaking, by the way, of the soldier name changes, I had a great-grandfather named Otto Malmsted, and he became a Swedish soldier and went in and obtained this trunk, the story goes, and the previous owner's name was on there, which was the name of some kind of armament. It was a spear, which translates, of course, to spute. And so that is how Otto Malmsted became Otto Spute, and then he came to America, and now all of his descendants have that name, the Swedish word for spear. Is that pretty common?
It was very common. You know, the immigrants, when they came from Sweden, a lot of them did take those names with them. And then, you know, according to American naming tradition, they went ahead and kept the surname. So, yes, I would say it was a very common thing.
Not unusual. All right. So if somebody wanted to get started on their Swedish ancestry, obviously one of the hardest things to do in any kind of research from any culture is how you cross the pond. What advice would you give people, Kim?
They have relatively good immigration records from Sweden. So if we can follow the family, we can find out when they came to this country. We may be able to get into the Swedish immigration records and find them leaving. And if we can go from there and find them in there, it may literally give a reference back to the parish they came from, and we can very often find them in this clerical survey that I mentioned a little earlier. I will generally say if we can get them across the pond, 95% of the battle is won.
Yes.
Get them into a Swedish record.
You know, I think it's easier for Scandinavian records, and Swedish in particular, than it is for English records.
That is the impression that I have been getting from other people that are doing British research, American research. Whether you're doing Danish or Swedish, which are the two areas that I specialize in, it is amazing how far back we can track them.
Yes. What would you
Very
say is...
common to track them back into the 1700s, sometimes even into the late 1600s.
How about the histories? How about getting the stories? Is there a good source for the stories to go along with the names and the dates?
The stories, they can be a little harder. Family stories are always great. Whether there's any truth to them or not, that may be a different story.
Well, I'm thinking more of the historical record, what we can pull out of those, what we can extract from historical settings, what was happening in certain places at the time, what they may have participated in, what their occupations were. Can that all be gathered?
Occupation are very often listed, but when we're getting into the towns, they have trades, they are often listed. But the majority of the population, it was a rural community, they were farmers. And coming back to the immigration, the only way you could secure yourself into old age was by having children or families that would take care of you. So families, they very often had large families because quite a number of children did not survive to adulthood. And a piece of land could only be divided so many times. It got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually got to the point that it could not support a family anymore. So what do? In the mid-1800s, people, they began to immigrate, and there was a heavy push in the immigration into the 20th century. It is believed that about 1.3 million Swedes have left Sweden for the United States, basically from 1850 through about 1920.
Wow.
And a main pull for that was the availability of the high-quality farmland in the upper Midwest.
So you're talking Minnesota a lot and Chicago area.
Chicago, Minneapolis, and so on. You know, there were a lot of them. Another thing was the chain form, where early settlers that came over here, they were writing letters and told them how nice it was over here, and you could get land for next to nothing, sometimes even for nothing as squatter. And so they arranged to bring family members over, and extended family members. And there were literally communities in Sweden that got practically depopulated and reassembled in the Midwest.
Well, Kim, this is all amazing stuff, and I'd like to talk to you more down the line about Norwegians and Danish people, because I really don't want my listeners getting on my back about skipping them. So we have to make sure we get back to you at some point. How can people get a hold of you, by the way, if they have questions about Swedish research?
I have a website, ScandinavianGenealogy.com. Should be relatively easy to remember.
Yep, ScandinavianGenealogy.com. Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Kim Melchior, a professional researcher in all countries Scandinavian, and we've just been talking about the Swedish culture and all the things that come with that. And thanks so much, Kim. And coming up next, we'll talk to a North Carolina couple who recently discovered a 150-year-old letter that solved a long-standing family mystery. When we return in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Hovorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
Can't figure out how to get your favorite Windows genealogy software running on your MacBook? Look no further than Crossover. Crossover by Codeweavers at www.codeweavers.com allows you to run your Windows software on your Mac without the need to buy a copy of Windows. Crossover is easy to install and simple to use. Crossover supports many popular genealogy packages like Roots Magic, Legacy Family Tree, Personal Ancestral File, Family Tree Builder, and more. Crossover also lets you run other popular productivity apps like Microsoft Office and a wide range of games. So if you're looking for an easy, affordable solution to your Windows compatibility needs, visit www.codeweavers.com today to download your free trial of Crossover. And don't forget to use the deal code FAMILY for an additional 40% off when you purchase Crossover.
Hello, Extreme Genes listeners. I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru and host of the Travel Show radio broadcast with the hottest travel deals on the planet. And now you can travel more and pay less by joining me on our Travel Show podcast. Cruises, tours, resort hotels, airline tickets, stay close to home, or travel the world. I'll show you how to travel more and pay less. Go online to ColumbusVacations.com. That's ColumbusVacations.com. Click on radio and then click on podcast. It's really that simple. ColumbusVacations.com, radio and podcast for the hottest travel deals on the planet.
Got a brick wall in your family tree? Don't know how to break through it? Get professional help from Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services. Speak directly with an experienced genealogical researcher, not a salesperson, by calling toll-free 1-877-537-2000. When you call, ask how you could win a free 1-hour consultation with an expert genealogist. Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services, with over 35 years of research experience. Visit heritageconsulting.com. Did you know your family's memories are being destroyed a little at a time every day? It's true. Old home movies, slides, photos, and audio recordings fade over time. The longer you delay the digitizing of these priceless artifacts, the more likely it is they'll be gone one day. That's why you need to call the Multimedia Center.
I brought in VHS videotape and had them transferred to DVD.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And welcome back to Extreme Genes, Family History Radio and ExtremeGenes.com, America's Family History Show. I am Fisher, your radio root sleuth, and very excited to have on the line from Camden, North Carolina, Clarence Jennings and his wife, Carolyn, who've had a great discovery recently. And welcome to the show, Jennings.
Thank you.
I was very excited to read your story here. And, I'm always searching for people who are having amazing experiences, and you recently had one after the passing of one of your relatives. Fill us in on what happened.
My aunt, Alma Jennings, passed away in 2011. I was administrator of the estate, and we were selling the home place, and we had to clean it out. And so all the nieces and nephews were gathered, and we'd go room by room, and everybody would pick out what they wanted. And kind of got to the end, and the stuff was left over, and we decided to donate right much of it to the church. And there's this box left that was sitting on a buffet in the hall. And my wife, Carolyn, said, "I'd like to have that box." I said, "We'll take it." And as she was going through that box today, we were sorting things out. We found letters that my grandfather had written back to my grandmother before they were married, and then other odds and ends and things. And it was pretty obvious to us that the box actually had contents that my grandmother had put in. The box had been sitting on this bureau. I'm 60-some years old, and as long as I can remember, the box sat in that same location. But as we were going through the letters, we came across this Civil War letter that my great-grandfather, James Jennings, had wrote back to his mother.
Oh, wow.
And in the letter, he is describing actually the death of one of his brothers, because there were three brothers, James Jennings, William Harney Jennings, and Decatur Jennings, and they all served in the Civil War together in a group called the Pasquotank Boys.
Yes, Pasquotank County, North Carolina.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And so this was one of the Confederate units. And what battles did they fight in?
They have fought in Plymouth, and they worked their way up through Weldon, and they were at the
Bottom Ware Church in Virginia, near
Petersburg,
yeah. Virginia.
And is this where the brother was killed?
Yes, and he was buried around Chesterfield County, Virginia.
Well, how did you feel when you found that letter?
Goosebumps. It was really like a history coming alive, and we knew we had something really precious for the family because in 1970 they had a big family reunion, and at that time we were each given a genealogy book, and in the book they did not know when William Harney had been killed. And for us to discover a letter that gave us the official date and how he was killed and how they wrapped him and how they marked the grave and all of those things, it just means a lot, sort of closure for the family. When we took it out of the envelope, it was so old that it already started to crack a little bit, so we decided that we would just keep it in the box until we could have it preserved in museum quality glass.
Right.
So that it would be here for the future. And I surprised my husband and gave it to him for Christmas. And so once we did that, we decided that we wanted to share it with all the Jennings family. Clarence, you want to tell them about how your...
My great-grandma, James Jennings, who wrote the letter we have, was married 4 times and had children by 3 wives.
Wow.
When my grandfather was born, James Jennings was 50 years old. I have to look at the family tree, but he had children that were at that time that were probably in their 30s.
Oh, boy. So it's really complicated to tell who's who, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big family. He outlived his last wife by 10 years, and he made a statement at one time, it was passed down in the family, that if he'd known he was going to live so long, he would have got married again.
Could you actually read some parts of the letter that you just found, especially some of the details?
Carolyn, if you
I'll read some of it to you. It says, Camp of the 56th Regiment, North Carolina, Weldon, North Carolina, May the 26th, 1864. And it says, Dear Mother, it is with heartfelt sorrow and deep regret that I have to announce to you the death of Brother Harney. He was pierced by a bullet on Friday evening in the charge. He was struck over the right eye and under the eyebrow, and I think he died instantly. Decatur took charge of the effects he had about his person, and he was snugly put away, considering with a headboard on which is written his name, company, regiment, to the place of his birth. I'm telling you what day he was killed. I neglected to mention that it was May the 26th. The 56th suffered very badly. The company was cut up pretty bad. There was not any more killed from that county, but wounded there was Lieutenant Bray, Sergeant Jackson, Seth White, Newton Spence, and then it goes on.
There's a local historian that had the roster of the Company C, and as we got looking, the Jackson's name was Lemuel Jackson, and Carolyn had done some research, and that said, I think your granddaddy, great-great-granddaddy was Lemuel Jackson. And it was, and that was my great-great-grandfather. Lemuel Jackson was wounded in the same battle that my great-grandfather's brother was killed in.
Isn't that something?
Yes,
and you found that it's not unusual, though, when you think about it, because many of these units, both on the North and the South, were put together from the same communities, which is why sometimes communities lost all their young men, a whole generation.
That's the sad thing. We lost almost a whole generation in that time frame in a lot of local communities.
And the other interesting thing to me, because you think about it, when it was written May of 1864, he writes, there's been a great deal of hand fighting, but we have been successful, though we have to acknowledge a heavy loss, but this is bound to be when there's so much hand fighting. The prospect is still bright for more hand fighting, but it is believed that we will whip them, and I will wind up on this subject. And then I would have thought by 1864 the South kind of knew that they were being defeated. So I was surprised that he was so optimistic.
Yes, I would be too. Now, where was this battle fought exactly?
The battle that the brother was killed in was Bottom Ware, Virginia. And the troops, after that battle, moved back to Weldon, North Carolina. And that's where he's writing this letter from.
Now, this is interesting to me because this is the very time that Sherman is marching through Georgia.
Right.
So you've got the Confederate soldiers fighting, trying to get north, while Sherman's trying to push through the South.
Right.
Very interesting. Well, what a find, and I'm sure it's touched your hearts and touched your lives to have this letter and to be able to share it with the family members and people in your community.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, we hope you enjoy that, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us and giving us your time and sharing some of that letter. It's fascinating. It gave me goosebumps too, Carolyn, by the way.
Yes, it really does. When you hear it in that personal, it makes the war really come alive for us.
Well, and that's the beauty of family history, too. It really personalizes history. It's not a history book with just, well, then these guys did this and those guys. No, it's this individual. And this is what happened to this person. And that's, I think, the beauty of it for me is we can relate to our people and really get to know them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Clarence and Carolyn, and thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our family.
You betcha. And coming up next, Tom Perry, our preservation authority from tmcplace.com, with new technological innovations you're going to want to hear about in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes Family History Radio, America's Family History Show.
Hi, Genies, it's Fisher, and I've been telling you about MyHeritage.com's amazing new technology that searches your family tree day and night for you, finding matches even while you sleep in documents and other people's trees. Here's a find I never would have made without it. It's a newspaper story about a relative of mine, Paul Sagal, who I knew many years ago. It's from 1943, when Paul was serving in the Pacific. When he learned his father died, he wrote a poem to his brother that indicated he wouldn't be returning for the funeral. He wrote, "There'll be no furlough for me. I'm in the Marines, you see. Alive and well as I am, memories I'll keep of my dad." Then the newspaper editor added, "These are all the sentiments that will win this war. There are treasures like this one waiting for you now." Put MyHeritage.com's superb technology to work for you with a 20% discount. Just enter the one-word promo code EXTREMEGENES. MyHeritage.com is the next big thing.
It will soon be here again, the largest family history event in the world. It's the 5th annual Roots Tech Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, February 12th through the 14th, 2015. Hosted by Family Search, Roots Tech is the perfect place to discover and share family connections, past, present, and future. Keynote speakers like family man and entertainer Donny Osmond and the founder of the upcoming Global Family Reunion, AJ Jacobs, will inspire and entertain you. Explore the massive expo hall with hundreds of technology and family history exhibitors. Visit the world-renowned Salt Lake Family History Library right across the street and choose from more than 200 educational classes taught by family history professionals. Early bird pricing is just $159 for a 3-day pass. But hurry, it's only available for a limited time. Find out more now and get registered at rootstech.org. That's rootstech.org. It's Roots Tech 2015, February 12th through 14th at the Salt Palace Convention Center in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Your priceless 8mm home movies and your precious family videos are deteriorating right now. Heat, moisture, insects, dust, mold, time, they're all robbing you of your family's memories. It's time to preserve those treasures right now by digitizing them at tmcplace.com. They've been preserving memories for over 40 years. Home movies, videos, audio tapes, vinyl records, photos, slides, and even scrapbooks. Whether your treasures are enduring the humidity of Massachusetts or the heat of Arizona, tmcplace.com can digitize your audio and images without harming the originals and returning them to you with free shipping both ways on most orders. TMCplace.com can even let you track your package in real time with a special GPS tracking device. Trustworthy, experienced, affordable. Call tmcplace.com toll-free at 1-866-483-1717 to talk to Extreme Genes Preservation Authority Tom Perry about your project. Or order online at shop.tmcplace.com.
And welcome back to Extreme Genes Family History Radio, America's Family History Show. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, with Tom Perry from tmcplace.com. He is our preservation authority. How are you, Tom? Good to have you back.
Super duper.
All right. Now, you found some new software, and this is going to be a big deal for people when they're doing recording. Are we talking video or audio only?
This is pretty much for audio. I mean, anytime you have audio following video, you can always go in and edit the audio. It's really a lot harder to do stuff like that. This is primarily for people that are getting family interviews and doing just the audio portion. They're not doing the video. Like I say, it fits for video too, but this is mostly for the purists that are out there just getting audio.
Well, and there's a great place for that in my mind. It's a lot easier to set up typically than the video. And like you mentioned, it's easier to edit as well.
Oh, yeah. If you bring it into us, too, it's a whole lot less expensive because you can go in and edit audio pretty seamlessly. When you start mixing with video, if you get just a 60th of a second off, it starts looking funky because you're looking at people's lips. And even though you're not lip reading, you're still looking at their lips and it's not matching what the words are. And so even though you don't know how to lip read, it still looks like something's wrong there.
It can be distracting, can't it?
Oh, very much so.
And it actually often eliminates the real use of video when it's distracting like that.
Exactly. In fact, we have people that have tried doing their own recording live to their computer, and people think it's easier, but it's not. Computers were never meant really to record video. There's big high-end computers that are meant to do that, but you go and buy a computer off the shelf, and it's not really set up to like take analog video, turn into digital and such as that.
Yeah.
You're going to have timeline problems, so it's not made for that. So the best thing to do is just do the audio. We have people bring it into us, and we say, hey, do you really need the video part of it? And they go, well, not really. So if we just rip the audio off, it's going to cost them a whole lot less, and then they can put it like a slideshow or something like that to it that doesn't have to be lip-synced.
Well, and I like that idea, too, because you can often illustrate the conversation better with still pictures than just a shot of somebody speaking.
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, it's just a talking head like on the news, and it can drive you nuts. But when you have different pictures going of their old cabin or their cemetery headstone, different things like this going on, it's telling a visual story while you're listening to the audio instead of just a talking head.
So what software have you discovered, and what does it do?
Okay, the real neat thing, first off, it's by Adobe, which is awesome because Adobe makes software for both Macs and PCs, so no matter which side of the road you're on, you'll be able to use this. And this one's actually called Adobe Audition, which means you can buy it individually or you can buy it as a package or you can buy their cloud service, which you get all the Adobe stuff.
And by the way, we use Adobe Audition to produce this show, so it's top quality stuff.
It's awesome, and it's not really that expensive, but the neat thing about it, it's so easy to use. Here's where the innovation comes in. When you're trying to get distracting noise out of the background, whether it's a refrigerator running or somebody set off their car alarm, it makes it really, really tough. And in the old days, we would have these kind of waveforms. You're looking at your computer, and all it shows is amplitude. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is loud. Maybe if I take off this top part, that'll fix it. And then what it's really doing is cutting off Aunt Margaret telling her story at the top and gives more bass into her voice, which sounds really kind of funky. With this new software from Adobe, which is Adobe Audition, which we mentioned, you go into the spectral frequency view of it and feather it. So it doesn't totally take it out, but it softens the edges. So Aunt Margaret, when she's talking, she sounds exactly the same. And you can physically see each one of these lines of where the frequency is of the car alarm or the refrigerator hum. So it's not just kind of a blur and you're kind of like, shooting with a shotgun. You can go in and precisely take out just that one spot or go and reduce it so incredibly that it's going to be absolutely awesome.
Wow, it is always amazing to hear the new progress we're making with new technology. Tom, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about where people can get this stuff and some other features of new audio software when we continue on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Hello, Extreme Genes listeners. I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru and host of the Travel Show radio broadcast with the hottest travel deals on the planet. And now you can travel more and pay less by joining me on our Travel Show podcast. Cruises, tours, resort hotels, airline tickets, stay close to home, or travel the world. I'll show you how to travel more and pay less. Go online to ColumbusVacations.com. That's ColumbusVacations.com. Click on radio and then click on podcast. It's really that simple. ColumbusVacations.com, radio and podcast for the hottest travel deals on the planet.
Can't figure out how to get your favorite Windows genealogy software running on your MacBook? Look no further than Crossover. Crossover by Codeweavers at www.codeweavers.com allows you to run your Windows software on your Mac without the need to buy a copy of Windows. Crossover is easy to install and simple to use. Crossover supports many popular genealogy packages like Roots Magic, Legacy Family Tree, Personal Ancestral File, Family Tree Builder, and more. Crossover also lets you run other popular productivity apps like Microsoft Office and a wide range of games. So if you're looking for an easy, affordable solution to your Windows compatibility needs, visit www.codeweavers.com today to download your free trial of Crossover. And don't forget to use the deal code FAMILY for an additional 40% off when you purchase Crossover.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
And we are back. Final segment, Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, America's Family History Show. Fisher here, the radio root sleuth. He's Tom Perry from TMCplace.com, and he's just made the discovery of some amazing innovations with Adobe Audition. And if you're looking to do any interviews with people, this is a great way to go because it can clean up any problems you may have. Let's talk more about this. Where can they get it, Tom?
Okay, you can get Adobe Audition. You can get it online from Adobe's site. You can go to eBay, and sometimes people sell in older editions. You can save a little bit of money. There's a lot of different ways to get it. One thing I would recommend if you do purchase it, we mentioned these guys before, there's a great magazine out there. It's both online and in print. It's called Videomaker. And if you go to videomaker.com/courses, they have all kinds of free courses you can take, and they have about a 20-minute course that actually talks about Adobe Audition. They'll take you through step by step over 20 minutes and give you an understanding of how to use this software. It's pretty straightforward. It's easy to understand. And if you've used any kind of an art program or any basic programs on the computer, you'll be able to do this. It sounds daunting, but it really isn't. It's very simple if you watch this 20-minute tutorial, and it'll just be amazing how quickly you'll be able to make your audio sound so much better that people will be able to listen to it more. It won't drive them nuts because of all the clicks and bangs. And you want to go to videomaker.com/courses and look under Adobe Audition, and it'll say Spectral Frequency Editing. Go into that, do your editing, then you'll be all set on that. Now remember, once you format your audio, you want to usually do it in several formats. I suggest people do it as a WAV, do it as MP3s, do it a couple different programs. People in your family are going to want to use it for different things, and if you do all this at once and then you put it on your Dropbox account or email it to people, they'll be able to have the file type they want that's going to best take care of the things that they're looking for. So that's the best way to do that. And then just always remember, we told you a million times, whenever you're recording audio, make sure you have headphones or earplugs in so you can actually listen to the audio that's being recorded to save a lot of these steps, but this will take you to the next step.
Tom, once again, what is the address to get that course?
Okay, of course, you just go to Videomaker, that's videomaker.com, and then /courses, and you want to look under Adobe Audition Spectral Frequency Editing. And just click on it. It's a 20-minute tutorial, and it's just really awesome, very well done.
All right, Tom, what other new technologies are out there to help us with audio?
Okay, there's a couple things that are real cool. We've had the people from Easy Photo Scan on before. You can actually buy from them these barcodes now, and you can put barcodes on your calendar. You can put barcodes on photo books, anything you want. And then when somebody scans it, it'll actually play the audio.
Wow.
So, for instance, like my sister's really into doing calendars. Every Christmas she gives us all one of these giant, huge calendars that has everybody's birth dates on it, anniversaries. But now she can get these barcodes from Easy Photo Scan and puts it on, like, say, my birthday, for instance. And then on my birthday, I take my smartphone, scan the QR code, and it's them singing happy birthday to me, or my kids singing happy birthday to me, or whatever you want. And it's just so totally cool. And they're very inexpensive. Just go to easyphotoscan.com and tell them you want some of the sticky QR codes, and they'll send you a package of them.
All right. This is great stuff. I mean, there's always new things coming out, and you're always finding them for us, Tom. That's why you are the preservation authority. And if you have a question for Tom, all you have to do is email him at asktom@tmcplace.com, and you may be hearing your question answered on the air on Extreme Genes. Thanks, Tom.
Talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks once again to our guest, Kim Melchior, the Swedish researcher, giving us a little advice on how to go after our Scandinavian friends, and to the Jennings, Clarence and Carolyn, talking about their discovery of a Civil War letter that finally revealed the death of one of their relatives back in a great battle in the 1860s. Great stuff. You can catch it, of course, on our podcast later this week. And don't forget, we have a free podcast app waiting for you. We pay for it. All you have to do is download it from your phone store for iPhone or Android. Just look for Extreme Genes. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.